As long as it's out this way, I'm good with it.
Okay, so we're gonna elect a vice chair tonight. We will be acting until January. So listen, whoever takes over.
That's my goal.
No. I was doing that. Yeah. Because I'm done.
I only present those to
And that's
council because that's the ordinance adoption.
they'll be acting until.
We don't need that.
Yeah. Yeah.
We have nothing here that allows them to.
Yeah.
The way the zoning ordinance works is if it's not listed specifically, it is prohibited. That's how zoning ordinances work. That's why you don't have lists usually.
Yeah.
Prohibited uses. It's not listed, it is prohibited. That's how zoning ordinances work. So there's nothing in the code that allows comics boxes. So by fiat, they are prohibited. And yet they're allowed because my predecessors created a policy that would allow them, but they don't have the authority to do that. The only body that has the authority to approve policy is the council. So what they should have done X number of years ago when they started allowing these. They should have taken language through council and council formally adopted.
Yeah, I read the history of that area.
Yeah.
It didn't do it.
Would have required them to do work.
Like
It's not yet. It's set in stone, but I don't
It's
know.
Diana, right? We're not gonna mention it.
yeah, it's kind of
I
They
don't
do that.
I look at some
I
of
don't know if the mayor announces that.
I'm just guessing you should, not us.
YouTube.
Yeah, I've never done that before, so I don't know.
There he is.
Doc's moving up to take my place. And the alternate, new alternate has been picked. Yes. Yeah, she'll do a good job.
I think she's also the alternate.
The language is spoken before is closed. So they had a real connection.
It is okay. I checked with the attorney before.
Yeah, it's you know, it goes back to World War II, but I was over in Germany as a service. You know, they still have it.
We're gonna go to executive session.
Yeah.
And it's from World War II that he said, well, yeah, that's from World War II. But actually it's from Bismarck when, when Prussia united all the German states.
Yeah. It was originally him. Yeah. Like we're still singing in church.
Which is good for you.
I remember I was teaching at a private school in Australia. I had a Jewish teacher who refused to go to church because the choir was singing. They tried to
I'm not involved in the church. Yeah.
And if you watch the, if you watch any films of the Holocaust,
Well,
the
the
stories
council
of
probably
change,
wanted to
anyway.
meet the minimum city
The
standards.
reason why you check with social media is that they only take that scene from the actual concentration camp in Auschwitz. They only filmed it for 2 days, and that was some German doing it.
Yeah, that's that lady.
Yeah, and that's the only clips they have of the processing. Other than if you went into some private German homes, you might find some photographs that the Germans took while they were there as guards.
Yeah. My uncle was one of the troops that liberated the camps.
Yeah.
He was really.
Some of my predecessors, that's what I heard.
He said he couldn't speak to a German for centuries.
Yeah.
Looks like six.
The mayor and council are sworn in next Tuesday.
Order the normal, regular December meeting of the Planning and Zoning Commission at 6 o'clock. Would you please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance? Commissioner McCafferty, would you lead that, please?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. Can we get a roll call, please?
Yes, sir. Commissioner Welker?
Here.
Commissioner McCafferty?
Here.
Commissioner Pasiak?
Here.
Commissioner Schweitzer?
Here.
Commissioner Metters? Here. Vice Chair Armstrong?
Here.
Chair Merritt is absent. And David Somerville, Commissioner David Somerville.
We'd like to welcome Mr. Somerville as the new person taking my place. And minutes from the last meeting. Everybody had a chance to read them. Any problems, questions, concerns?
They were long.
Hearing none, staff reports. Josh, do we have any?
There are no staff reports for tonight.
Thank you.
Hang on.
You have to approve.
Well, then
Motion
we have to
to
approve
adopt
the
them.
minutes. I'm sorry.
I make a motion, we accept the minutes as printed.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Hearing none, minutes are approved. I understand our next thing with the public hearing, the one item has been removed.
Since the item was advertised as a public hearing, we do need to go through the process of you reading it in as if we were going to hold the public hearing, and then staff will present their quote-unquote staff report about the withdrawal.
Okay. Consideration and possible recommendation to town council of approval to rezone approximately 9.42 acres of real property from the AR5 agricultural residential 5-acre minimum zoning district to the SR 2.5 single family residential 2.5 acre minimum zoning district in order to further subdivide the property located on the north side of East Road 4 North, approximately 670 feet of intersection of North Road 1 East and East Road 4 North. Mr. Will, whoop, sorry, Christina.
Miss Christina.
Yes.
Upon hearing the stipulations of this rezoning request, the applicant Bob Campbell has requested to withdraw his application and this rezoning request.
That's it? Okay, thank you very much. And we'll go to 6B, consideration and possible recommendation to town council of approval to amend the town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, chapter 154 by amending section 2.1, meanings of words and terms, and section 4.9, outdoor storage, by adding the definition and regulations of a metal storage container. This time, Mr. Will.
You got it. Good evening, Planning and Zoning Commission. So the item before you is a text amendment proposed to create regulations for steel shipping containers, or commonly referred to as Conex boxes. On September 8th of 2020, Town Council adopted ordinance. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm reading the wrong one here. Let me recap. Under current town code, there are no provisions that would allow staff to permit a steel shipping container within the town of Chino Valley limits. Prior staff had instituted a policy that allowed for the placement of these containers. However, the creation of this policy is not something that staff can do by themselves. They need direction from council. On February 26, 2020, staff met with the UDO update subcommittee to ask for direction regarding shipping containers. The subcommittee members gave staff the go-ahead to draft language that would hopefully address this issue. Unfortunately, due to COVID and the subdivision regulations text amendment, this language was placed on hold. We were able to take this text amendment, or the language itself, back to the UDO update subcommittee on October 28th of 2020, presented the draft language from the February UDO update subcommittee meeting. Subcommittee gave us direction to proceed with the text amendments so long as certain changes were reflected in the language that involves screening requirements conversions of the container to uses other than storage, electrical services, and the allowed quantity of containers on a piece of property. Staff has notified all residents within the town of Chino Valley limits through the public notification process. The draft text amendment has been posted online under the newsflash portion of the town of Chino Valley's homepage. Can access through any citizen publicly. The staff has encouraged citizens to send comments, concerns, or questions regarding this, and staff has received no comment from the public. So with that, staff is making the recommendation that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to Town Council to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, by amending Section 2.1, meanings of words and terms, and Section 4.9, outdoor storage, by adding the definition and regulations of a metal storage container. Now I will go ahead and open it up to questions or discussions. I do have an electronic copy of the language if you have questions to specific portions of the text.
Commissioners, questions?
I do.
Go ahead, John.
Under the proposed language on section 2E, if you look at section 2E as proposed, all containers shall be painted and maintained in a single color. You know that, are you familiar with that area?
Yeah.
Okay, so my question was, would they be prohibited from, some people use, and I've seen these, you know, like tack room. They had the language tack room on it, or, you know, their name of what their last name is. Would that be prohibited under this regulation? Because it says it must be a single color.
Yeah, correct. I believe that was the intention, was to make it a single color, nothing that would stand out outside of the ordinary.
What about trim? Let's say they painted it earth tones and they had one color, but they had a trim and it was aesthetically pleasing. Would the code allow for it?
I will actually defer to Josh on that.
These items are these containers are going to be placed in the rear yard anyway. So the view of these containers is supposed to be screened from view of the public. So our thinking was to make them a single color so that they kind of blend into the backyard. I don't see owners prettying them up and painting the trim as well.
You may not, but I have seen that. And I've seen them where they're aesthetically pleasing to have it like that.
This
But
language
I just want to
would,
make sure if somebody did do it and it was within the intent of the text to make it aesthetically pleasing and not stand out, would they still be in violation if they had a neighbor that didn't like them?
well, the text currently reads a single color. So if they painted it multicolors, we would have them repaint it.
Under current
Right.
written.
Well, I'm wondering if that's something we should talk about. I mean, I understand the intent of the language, single. I completely agree and accept that. But there are circumstances when it can look aesthetically pleasing to the public. But under this language, it sounds like they're not allowed to do that. But yet I could do my shed that way.
That's true. The shed is designed to look like a building. It's got a roof. It's got a door. It's got some of them have windows. These are metal storage containers. Most of them will not be modified that way. To modify them that way would require engineering as well as additional building permits, things like that. So the intent of the code here is to allow the Conex boxes with a single color to blend into the surrounding. This would make it a lot easier to regulate.
Let's see, unless it was two others. And then under the same section under F, the physical modifications made to the container will need to comply with applicable town codes and come through the permitting process prior to the work being done. Does that apply if the Conex box or the metal storage container is less than 200 square feet?
That would.
Okay, because I thought I read somewhere, and that's where I got confused. It said it's not subject to certain provisions if it's under 200 square feet.
Well, regular structures, when they're under 200 square feet, are not required to have a building permit. That's within the building code. But if you're cutting into a metal storage container, or if you're turning it into some other use besides a storage container, I believe that requires engineering. And at that point, it would require a permit regardless of the size.
Okay, like if they cut a window into it or something? Okay, correct. That's all I had.
I just have a question. Now, are we talking about those little sheds, metal sheds that you get from Home Depot or something?
No, this would be specific to like shipping containers through, like,
Oh,
so,
okay.
yeah,
It doesn't have anything to do with wooden sheds like that?
nothing at all, correct.
Any other questions, concerns? I'll accept a motion.
Mr. Vice Chairman, I'll make a motion of recommendation to Town Council of approval to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, by amending Section 2.1, meanings of words and terms, and Section 4.9, outdoor storage, by adding the definition and regulations of a metal storage container.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. And it looks like item C, consideration and possible recommendation to Town Council of approval to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, by amending Section 4.28, front yard and street side yard building setbacks when adjacent to a street, by amending setback requirements and how setbacks are measured, and the addition of language for alleviations and exemptions. Mr. Will.
All righty. On September 8th of 2020, Town Council adopted Ordinance 2020-885, which amended the town's subdivision regulations. Part of this amendment included the reduction in right-of-way width, right-of-way width requirements. This reduction, unfortunately, was not retroactive, and as a result, the developments that were constructed prior to this adoption were left with an abundance of right-of-way. Staff has met with the UDO Update Subcommittee on October 28th and presented this issue as well as a draft of some proposed language to kind of alleviate this issue. The language outlined a suggested alleviation and exemption in the form of a reduced setbacks for developments that were constructed under language prior to the adoption of the new subdivision regulations. The proposed language also cleaned up existing language in section 4.28, such as formatting, and just made it a little bit more legible for the average citizen. The subcommittee directed staff to proceed in taking this item to the Planning and Zoning Commission before you. Staff notified all residents within the town of Chino Valley through public notification. The drafted text amendment has been uploaded to the Chino Valley homepage. Staff has encouraged citizens to send comments to Development Services Department, and we have received comment from citizens that are in these developments in favor of this amendment, as it would allow them for a greater buildable area within their lots that are adjacent to these roads that were affected by the reduction in right-of-way. With that, staff is recommending that the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to Town Council to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, by amending Section 4.28, front yard and street side yard building setbacks when adjacent to a street, by amending setback requirements and how setbacks are measured, and the addition of language for alleviations and exemptions. With that, I will open it up to questions or concerns. I will go ahead and pull up a copy of the language for reference.
Commissioners with questions, concerns?
I have just a question for Josh. You also, the language, the rules haven't changed here, but you changed some of the definitions, or did I not? What's considered collector roadways and collectors, or streets classified as collectors?
We have not changed the streets that are classified as arterials, collectors, or local. Those are still defined as those roads since they're black in the text. So those have not changed. The only thing that's changed is the lettering, the numbering, and the formatting to make it more clear and concise and easier to read. Also, the other thing that has significantly changed is how we measure the setback and determine the setback for properties. Before, it was very confusing, so we changed that.
Okay.
Anything else? Again, I'll accept the motion.
Mr. Chair, I recommend the Planning and Zoning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the Town Council to amend the Town of Chino Valley Unified Development Ordinance, Chapter 154, by amending Section 4.28, front yard and side yard, street side yard, building setbacks when adjacent to a street, by amending setback requirements and how setbacks are measured, and the addition of language for alleviations and exemptions.
And I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? No nays. Motion carries. Item 7, non-public hearing action items. A is selection of a vice chair effective December 9th, 2020 through January 31st, 2021.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that, or I'd like to nominate Commissioner Pasiak to serve as the acting.
Okay, hang on just a minute. I'm gonna let Josh explain actually what is going on with this
Okay.
recommendation.
Because Commissioner Armstrong was elected as one of the town council members, he is going to be sworn in as a town council member next week. So we need a vice chair to hold that position for January, and then in February we are going to do another full election of officers. So this election of a vice chair will only be effective in January, and then in February we will renominate. So obviously if you want Commissioner Pasiak for the vice chair after that, then just renominate him then as well.
Okay, you
My
understand?
nomination still holds, yes. for-
Any other nominations? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations, Gary, you're back in the
Got
saddle.
another pay raise.
I'm speechless.
Yeah. At this time, again, I'll recommend or welcome David Somerville. He has taken over the seat on the regular commission. An alternate has been approved but not yet announced by the mayor. Item 8, discussion items.
Staff is not having discussion on this.
Okay, I have one question. I'll figure it as a discussion item. The Brown Homes contractor trailer that is sitting between the used car lot and Rogers Automotive. I see, is that where it's supposed to go? Because the not concrete, but the gravel and everything for it is set back a whole bunch further. Is it in the right place?
We will double check. It does need to be set back 50 feet since that was not reduced for them during the conditional use application process, but we will verify that. They also have additional things that they need to put on the site, such as screening for the porta-john, landscaping, and areas for the park.
Okay, great, thank you. Public comments. Call to the public is an opportunity for the public to address the commission on any issue within the jurisdiction of the commission that is not on the agenda. Public comment is encouraged. Individuals are limited to speak for 3 minutes. The total time for call to the public may be up to 30 minutes per meeting. Commission action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, scheduling the matter for further consideration and decision at a later date, or responding to criticism. Anybody wants to come up and talk, please step up, identify yourself, be concise, be nice. Don't use any bad language. Seeing none. Before we adjourn, which is the next thing on the list, I'd just like to thank all of you for the help you've given me in the last 3 years sitting up here behind this thing. I think Mr. Somerville will do an excellent job in replacing that. And the alternate, I think, is very eager to learn and come around as much as humanly possible. Ruth, Jason, Josh, Alex, Bill, Christina, now, thank you all very much, as well as the rest of the town staff. I appreciate all your help, and I'll accept the motion to adjourn.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's all, folks.
Hey, it's good to see we got posters representing on the board now. Tell your wife I'm not a boot. She said, "Oh, you're just a boot."